Hello and welcome everybody. I'm Sarah from Small Robot Company and I am delighted to introduce this session to you. Be the change. How can you find your purpose? And the whole point of Small Robot Company is building towards this impact, this mission. We are helping farmers to feed the world while regenerating the planet. And as such, impact has always been central to everything that we do. And we want to help to inspire you. How can you make a difference? What small acts can you do? How can you become part of a larger movement? And how can you find what your purpose is? And we've just come from a session with global social leaders where they were looking at exactly this, which you'll be able to watch on Listen Again. And now I'd like to introduce you to our speaker today. I'm going to be here with Amy from Global Social Leaders and Janvi Patel. Amy, would you like to come on stage with Janvi, please?
Hi, Sam. Can you hear me okay?
Wonderful. So yes, I was very honoured to join Amy and Global Social Leaders earlier this year for their Summer Catalyst at Home and their Global Youth Festival. Global Social Leaders is a youth action movement, and I was so inspired by the sessions during the summer. It made me come away with a really renewed sense of my own purpose and our own mission and how we're affecting change. And I hope we can do that for you today. Amy, over to you.
Thanks, Sarah. So I'm really, really honoured to introduce our next inspirational speaker. So Janvi has advocated for change in the legal profession and co-founded Halle Berry, a pioneering new law firm. She is a female founder and a strong supporter and advocate for women and children's rights. Janvi is the advisory board member of Equality Now and the Children of War Foundation and a founding board member of the legal campaign Free Periods, which aims to end period poverty. She's been a massive GSL supporter this year. She's been a finalist judge for our Global Goals competition. She was a challenge partner for our Summer Catalyst. She even got up at 3 o'clock in the morning to inspire 1,700 young leaders on our summer program. So it's a real privilege to be able to welcome Janvi to the stage to hear her story.
So I'm hoping Janvi's going to be able to join us shortly. I just want to say how much I enjoyed Janvi's talk at Global Social Leaders. I found it extremely powerful and impactful. And yes, I really hope that everybody watching today will take something from Janvi's journey, which they can bring to their own lives and start to be the difference. And just hoping that Janvi's here waiting. I know that she was waiting here. There have been a lot of technical issues today with people getting onto the platform, so apologies to you waiting. It may well be that Janvi has also been caught up in this. I hope you'll be patient with us. It wasn't planned to be an online event. It was planned to be a live event, and there's been a lot of work from the New Scientist team to get this up and running in time for today. I know they've worked tirelessly, and I'm just going to message them now. Amy, perhaps you can talk a little bit more about Global Social Leaders and Purpose while I sort out behind the scenes.
Certainly. So if you're just joining us this afternoon and you've missed any of our other sessions today, we've had a session on purpose. So GSL was co-founded by the Wellington Leadership and Coaching Institute and also by an organisation for future foundations, which works to ensure that young people have the foundations they need to achieve what they want for their futures. As part of that platform, we have been able to work with a number of inspiring speakers. As Sarah mentioned, this summer we welcomed 43 speakers from 8 world regions. So I fully appreciate how much work has gone into doing an event online. I have to say it's just been a phenomenal day if you've missed anything else that's taken place. We are welcoming, as always, on the GSL, we run a global competition, which is our Global Goals competition, which is a real opportunity for young people all around the world to participate and work towards change on a global scale. So this is a free competition for all schools to enter from ages 11 to 18 even. Last year's winner actually went on and she's won quite a few different awards. She's from a school in South Korea. You can also catch some of her content on the Small Robot Company website and their blog page. I guess for us at Future Foundation, our purpose is really about amplifying and empowering young people with the skills they need to go out and make the change they wish to make in the world. So we were really, really honored when Sarah invited us to come and share some spotlight in the New Scientist Live. And if you did miss it, we took that opportunity to spotlight on some of the most incredible organizations that we get to partner with. So we've welcomed the MacArthur Foundation today, World's Largest Lesson, the Eden Project, and AimHi. It seems that Jame is around, but is unable to.
Yeah, she thinks she is in the room, and she is somehow on the stage without us. So we will get the New Scientist team cracking on that one. Jame, I don't know whether you can hear us, but be patient. We're on the case. We're sorting this out for you.
I'm going to answer a question that's really good. Someone's just thrown in a question there, Sarah, if that's all right, because I think that's a really, really fundamental question. Yeah. So that we're talking about here, I guess there's a lot of focus at the moment on young people being the drivers of change, and that can be a bit isolating. So this idea of intergenerational change is fundamental to what we do in terms of our GSL movement. So if you're wondering how you can go out and support and how together we can create common purpose, have a conversation, reach out to youth networks, speak to your grandchildren or the young people that you see and around you. There are plenty of opportunities to connect, to come together. A lot of the projects that we see, a lot of the young people are reaching out to their older generation. A lot of schools run intergenerational projects as well. So if you're interested, one of the best things you can do if you're super passionate is become a school governor. That's literally one of the best things you could ever do if you're someone from business who's looking to wanting to support students in education. And I guess that's it, really. Does anyone have any other questions about the kind of change we're trying to achieve? And I wonder if Sarah, Jame, if we've had any update with Jandy entering the room, Sarah.
No. She's ringing me. That's I'm fine. Just going to leave you telling that's all fine. About this while I will get at Jame. Hold on.
Yeah, no problem. So one of the big things that we've been looking at this year is how we can continue to make change, even though we've been in isolation and we've been locked down. So at Future Foundations, we don't believe being isolated should stop you from being able to connect with other people. So this is a perfect example of bringing people together in an online event. We've been setting what we call independent challenges for young people. So one of our partner organizations, the Eden Project, set a really super fun challenge this summer called the #IWillForNature Challenge. So do check out the Eden Project website. This was an opportunity for the children on our summer program just to go out and really embed themselves in nature. So that involved everything from blackberry picking to building bug hotels. Yeah, I mean, it's really about going out there and connecting in the ways that are safe to do so in this time. We also believe that you shouldn't have to recreate the wheel at GSL. So we fully encourage our young people and people out there who wish to make change to go out and find great work that is already taking place. So get behind somebody else's campaign, amplify that voice. If you have a skill that you can add to somebody else, then add it to their team. And increasingly, this is what we're seeing with all the organizations that we get to work with, that we're skill sharing and we're knowledge sharing. So we run a global competition, and then we ask people to judge our competition for feedback, and we judge their competitions, and we all help each other to understand how to communicate more clearly with the youth population. And we also share resource, which is just a phenomenal thing. I think one of the biggest things we're seeing as being a really powerful thing at the moment is the power of the hashtag. I can do a hashtag. So it's been really great watching young people get behind each other and support each other. So for this event, the hashtag is Be the Difference. Do check out what's been talked about today. Our hashtag, where you can keep a track of our global projects, is #GSL Goals. Yeah, so this has really been what is fundamental to hi, Sarah.
Hi, I'm hoping that Jame's going to be joining very shortly. She is trying to log out and log back in again. The whole turn it off and turn it on again approach to tech. Next, she can
That's
try
my
back.
favorite way of dealing with it. Take the battery out and hope it starts again. So, Sarah, maybe I can.
Years working in technology, I have to say, yeah, don't work with technology or small children or animals, and of course farming technology. I'm doing all three. So.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, Sarah, you're a perfect example of the point I was just drumming home, which is the importance of sharing skill set and sharing knowledge, because your background is not farming, is it? I mean, you've come to the small robot company from a completely different background. Maybe you could share some insight into how you've taken your skills and applied them to a new revolution in agriculture?
I've spent the last 20 years working in tech, and I did a lot of work with startups, particularly with artificial intelligence technology. So I just moved house, and sort of left my job in London, or rather they left me. They didn't like me working in the countryside and not being as present. So I was at a loss, and Ben came to me and said, "Sarah, can you launch my company? It's robots and artificial intelligence, and I know that you're brilliant at artificial intelligence." And Jambi is here.
Oh,
but yes,
I'm sorry. It's like,
no,
I'm logging in and out.
Here I am, and here's Jambi, and I'm so pleased. I'm so pleased to welcome you today, Jambi. And I'm so sorry about the technical difficulties of bringing you into the room. And we've had everybody waiting. We've got 143 people in the room waiting to hear you, Jambi. So I think we shouldn't waste any more time.
We're going to jump off stage, Jambi. It's all yours.
Thank you
Over to
so
you,
much.
Jambi.
Okay, so I know I'm meant to be talking about purpose, so I thought I'd start off by telling you a little bit about my background. Firstly, I didn't have a career choice. So first generation Ugandan Indians in the UK, there were no career choices. It was engineering, medicine, accountancy, law. So I picked law. And I know that's not how many people find their passion, but it is how a lot of people start their careers, by just launching into something. And so I launched into law, and I managed to get through university and get a job at a lovely law firm in central London, which is actually really hard to get. And so I started working as a lawyer, as an employment lawyer in a city law firm in London. And then after a while, I went into work in-house in a large telecoms company, a global company, as an employment lawyer as well. And then between the two of them, I have to say, as much as they were amazing companies to work for, and amazing teams, amazing work, there was just something that didn't sit right with me. I didn't feel like I fit in. I didn't feel like the work was quite right for me. And I was therefore at a loss. And having started my legal career at the age of 18, studying law, by the time I was 32, I realized I was end of my legal career track. I didn't know where to go, because those were my only two choices. It suddenly occurred to me that I cannot be the only one that feels like that there are only two choices in law, and I didn't want either one of them. And I was thinking, how weird is this? Why are there only two choices in law? And then I started to get a bit annoyed about it. I was like, why are there only two choices in law? And so I sat down with a really good friend of mine who felt very similar to the way I was feeling. And we decided we were going to create our own career path in law and our own structure. And the more we dived into the legal profession and how it operated, we realized that it was just dysfunctional. It was dysfunctional just in the way there was just a very unique one kind of track career path, but equally there were just many clients who were just upset about the way the service was practiced. And it just became apparent that the structure was just archaic, it was not inclusive, and it was not efficient for the way we work and we should be working. So we sat down and just pieced it together, created a brand new structure for a law firm, and we decided we were going to launch it. And to cut a very long story short, because it's a 13-year process, we worked on that business for 13 years. We grew it to a multi-million-pound business. We worked for pretty much every telecoms provider in the UK, for a number of banks, for a number of law firms. And it was a phenomenal journey. And we sold it a couple of years ago, and I finished my exit at the beginning of this year, just in time for lockdown. So it was an incredible 13 years. And one of the things that I find really fascinating is just over the last 5-6 years, there have become a number of other companies within the legal industry that have set up to offer students and people just much more variety and choices in terms of careers, in terms of services. And as much as we were one of the first, it's just fantastic to see that we are not one of the last. And we see the kind of change continuing to happen in the legal profession. So it's been great to see that. And one of the things that has kind of really struck me about the legal profession, and part of that is because, part of my journey is I've been an employment lawyer, so I've seen a lot of changes in discrimination law, And I've seen a lot of rights evolving over the last 20 odd years. And I have become incredibly passionate about how law changes and defines our society. And, you know, that has just kind of sat with me for many, many years, of how, you know, you can build one case at a time, one law at a time, and how we can really shape how we want to live. And one of the examples I use is when my mum was pregnant with me in the 70s, she had to quit her job and reapply. And the reason we have maternity rights now, it's not because companies decided they were going to be generous, it's because the law required them to. And I love that story, that kind of, someone came up and said, we need to change this. And then that law changed and it impacted millions of lives. And I love that. And as I've continued my journey in law, that is something that I have just become more and more passionate about. And so, you know, I read a lot about it. I read a lot about campaigns and cases, and I seek out that kind of knowledge, partly because it excites me. And so I try and use it in things that I think about and things that I want to do. And so one of the reasons I think I'm here to talk today is the passion I have for changing the law and one specific area that we have started to make an impact. And I'll start the thought process of that journey. Many years ago, when I was working in a law firm, 30 stories up, I would always be caught out every month for not having my menstrual products. You know, and I have the means to buy them. I don't have many bags, so I don't change my bags very often. And I have a calendar so I could plan ahead. But every month without fail, I would forget. And you'd be in a meeting room and there'll be a ton of people around there, and you can't just go, I'm going to leave for 40 minutes to go to a pharmacy and go get some products. And so you'd be on the hunt to ask people if they have products. And I just found this more and more annoying. And I was thinking, what can I do about it? And I started thinking about it. And then I read a phenomenal book by a lady called Jennifer Wise Wells. And she wrote about periods and how you can change the kind of way we see menstrual products and how we give people access to menstrual products via legislation. And I was like, that is fascinating. And at the same time, I read some articles about an incredible young lady called Amika George, 17 years old at the time, and she was trying to get the UK government to provide menstrual products to children who were on school meals. So just those who were low income needed menstrual products. And the UK government was pretty much saying no. And I was thinking, how fantastic to be able to use the law to be able to get that piece of legislation into place. So I started thinking how I would do that, how we would kind of bring this together. And, you know, it's kind of one of those things, the universe suddenly starts opening up. And the more I thought about it, the more I would see things happening. And people would kind of say, oh, you know, I talked to people about what I was trying to do. And they would come and say, oh, do you know so-and-so's doing this? Do you know so-and-so's doing that within the space? And therefore, we, as part of that kind of touch points, we met a fantastic organization called the Red Box Project, who were in the UK trying to provide, through donations and redistributing those donations, providing menstrual products to girls and to children in school. So we all clubbed together and were like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to make sure that the government provides products to all children in school. So we launched a campaign. We got hold of some lawyers. We launched, got a fantastic media team together, raised some money, and decided we were going to launch a campaign. And we launched that in 2019. And literally a few months later, the government agreed to provide those products. Initially, they said to secondary schools and to colleges in England. And then we started citing age discrimination, saying that they should provide it to primary school children as well. And through that kind of additional campaign, they agreed to do primary school. So earlier this year, the scheme started, which is just so exciting. And so, you know, if you're in England and you're at school or in a college, please get you're in state schools and colleges, please get your schools to sign up. Go to the free periods page and get your schools to sign up, because the products are available and they are funded by the government. And so it is so fantastic to see how just a small spark from all of us collected together created a massive impact. And some of you may have seen that Scotland have not only just provided products in schools, but are now doing free products. So as much as we're very proud with what we've done so far, there is just so much more to do. I would like that piece, that the kind of the products and the availability of the products to be enshrined in legislation, which it isn't yet. I would like funding to be further. I'd like it to be green products. I'd like Europe to be doing the same thing and the US to be doing the same thing. So there's just so much more to do. But what I love is that it was a spark, and through kind of thinking about how we were going to make it work, we kind of got to the bigger picture, and we're on our way to making the bigger impact that we want to make, which I think is, fantastic. And so one of the things I think about in terms of purpose, I in my journey, I think a lot about what is it that I want to achieve. And it's something I did within business. I think about what good looks like for me, for the world, for my family. And I spend a lot of time thinking about it. So it's not just about sanitary menstrual products or about my career. I do think a lot about the bigger picture of what my purpose is and what I want my purpose to be. And just having that time to kind of focus is really important. I came up with a thought process of free periods and how we're going to do the legislation because I had that quiet time to think and to go, what is it that I really want to do? And so, there are a few things I do within that to kind of really kind of focus my mind on it. I do journal. I don't probably journal as much as I should do, but I do journal a lot, and I write a lot about what annoys me, which is where the thought process of the business came from, and it's where the thought process of the campaign for menstrual products came from. It's like, what annoys me, and what can I do to fix it? And I journal quite a lot about that. I also journal quite a lot about things I like and don't like, because the things I don't like, I try and steer away from, because that's not where I think my energy should go. And something I've mentioned to Amy about is I do vision boards. I think it's really important to have a high level, what do you want to achieve in your life for the next 5 years. I think 10 years is quite far out, I suppose, for me at least. So I do every 5 years, I do a big session on vision boards and what do I want to achieve in the next 5 years. And then over time, I kind of mind map some of that and go, okay, well, if I take this one piece of my vision board, if I want to achieve that in 5 years, if I just focus on that, what would I have? What are the incremental steps that I would have to do to achieve that? And I did that with free periods. I did that with the business. I also did that with my family. So I think that I find incredibly, incredibly useful. I also have my go-to people. So when I come up with a new idea, I do just kind of reach out to people who I think are doing exceptional things. And I recently reached out to Amy and asked her, an idea I have, what do you think about it? Because I think brainstorming with people you trust and respect and admire is really important. And I often start by saying, I know this sounds crazy, but just hear me out. And most people don't laugh about it. And actually, if you were on the session before with Ben, who was incredibly inspiring, and how he was in the car listening to a professor talk, and he just reached out to the professor, and that's how his spark came. You can just see his passion come out from that conversation, and for him to find his purpose. And I think that is really important to do. It's really important for me to have a sounding board of people and a community of people I trust and admire, and I'd be able to kind of brainstorm, and that helps me find things. I will also say, in finding purpose, I also have, I have a lot of ambition and what I want to achieve, but it has been a hard road for me to realize that I cannot fix everything, and I definitely cannot fix everything at the same time. And so that has taken me a while to figure out, because I have to say a lot of things annoy me. And one of the biggest things that annoys me is inequality and unfairness. It is the thing that brings me to tears, and the campaigns and the change that literally just melts my heart. Whether I read about how slavery was abolished, or the suffragette movement, or Ruth Bader Ginsburg and how she changed the world. I love that story. So I would love to do more, but to kind of know what I can do and what I can achieve and what I can focus my time on is also really important for me, which is why the vision boards and the journaling and all of that helps, because I cannot do all of it, but I can do certain aspects and know that we are all building on the shoulder of others. And so I do my part and other people do their part, and together we make it better. So I think that's been really important for me to do. So that's a very long-winded. I don't know, Amy and Sarah, I don't know if you want me to kind of keep going, but I could talk about purpose forever. I think what I find, maybe just in closing, what I find really fascinating is there's a catalyst and there's a champion and then there's a movement. And so with each catalyst, you will find your champions and you will find your movement. And I think I love that. That is what I love in finding change and finding purpose. And we can all do it. It doesn't have to be the big thing. It's in every aspect of our lives. We can find our own purpose. And nothing is too small. Nothing is too small. And even when it looks big, we break it down. It's not that big at all. It's one step at a time. So, yes, my journey.
Jambi, as always, it gives me goosebumps, and it is so empowering to hear you speak. I think I've just got one quick question around, I think you said about breaking things down and doing them in small chunks, but I mean, how do you keep your energy replenished? Because obviously it's a marathon, all of this systemic change that we're going for, and not a sprint. So how do you look after yourself?
That's a really fantastic question. I think I was thinking about this overnight, and one of the things I have learned is, kind of coming from the background that I come from the immigrant background, it's all about hard work the hours, and I don't sleep very well. So, there are just a lot more hours that I can put into a day than many other people can, because I just don't sleep very much. And then I go into a profession which times you, or which kind of values you on your hours. And so until recently, I was just like pounding and just going, I just have to work more and more and more. And actually taking a step back and focusing on purpose and what can I bring to the table, and really focusing and allocating time, I have found incredibly valuable. So you can't do it all, and you can't just keep pounding. You have to realize what you can do and when you do it, because just more is not more, and more is not better. It's just, you can't keep going like that. It doesn't work. You have to focus and you have to know where your value is, because otherwise you're just running like this race that doesn't stop. And there's no point in that. You'll just burn out. So I think a lot about that. I think I used to just keep going because that's what my culture was and my background was. And I've just stopped doing that. And I find I add more value, and I have more thought, and I have more time, and I'm more valuable when I turn up than I was before. But I will also say, I think it's really important, especially as working moms, to make time for yourself, because we get caught up into everyone else's wheel, and it's just not worth it. And so I make a point of like once a week just doing something good for me, once a day, I do 30 minutes or an hour of just for me. And I think that is really important, especially for everyone, especially for working moms, when we just take it all on. And I think that's not healthy.
Well, I'm going to hand over to the other strong working mother on the call here. So, Sarah, I think you've got a question you'd like to ask Jambi.
Yeah, I did. It was really like, if you've got a huge mission, and you've done 2 huge missions now, Jambi, it can be really overwhelming to get started. Having ideas is all very well, but it's getting them done that's the hard bit. Mm-hmm. Have you got any advice for people listening who might have an idea and feel slightly overwhelmed about how they can take that first step?
Well, I think there's so we've got a very quick moment. Okay, so I think there's a few first steps. Firstly, find your people and start brainstorming. Find your little clique of people and just go, let me tell you my idea. What do you think? And let them say what they would do and how they would start. But then it's everything small. The free period stuff started with a phone call to a lawyer. and then a phone call to my PR company. And then, so it's not, and these are all Google searches, right? If you're trying to do something, what's the first thing you would do? Set up a company. How would you do that? Google, how do I set up a company? It's just, there's small movements. It doesn't have to be big.
Thank you so much. We're out of time. It's counting in minus seconds now, so I don't know if people can even see it. But thank you so much. That's been amazing. I'd love to have you back to talk with us another time. Thank you, Jame.